Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is part 2 of the difference between ACT, SAT, and EAST when it comes to the content this time. So when it comes to content, for the ACT, most of the passages are relatively new. They're written after the year 2000 and beyond. Whereas for the SAT and the EAST, most of the passages are old. And the SAT will have a historical passage. So this affects the level of comprehension difficulty. For the ACT, the comprehension level is around the 9th grade level, whereas for the SAT and the EAST, the passages are a little bit harder. They are definitely written for college students or beyond. So a student has to have a 12th grade comprehension level or beyond to be able to solve these types of questions easily. Also, there's an optional essay in the ACT, and it's called writing. There is no optional essay for the SAT, and there is an optional essay for the EAST. Your correct answers on the ACT may be a word for word from the passage. So they can be your answers can be written exactly as they are in the passage. Whereas on the SAT and the EAST, your answers are usually synonyms and paraphrases. So you have to enhance your vocabulary for SAT and EAST. The order of the questions and where you're going to find your answers, the answers, and the order of the questions flow randomly. You can find answers at the beginning or the end or the middle, whereas on the SAT, the answers are usually in chronological order of the passage. So your first question will be found at the beginning of your passage. Your second question will be, the answer will be found after where you found the answer to the first question. The third answer, you will find it after where you found the answer to the second question, and so on. For the EST, it's more like the ACT. The answers flow randomly throughout the passage. The types of questions on the ACT, there is no command of evidence questions, whereas this is an SAT command of evidence question, and this is a EST command of evidence question. But mind you, you have to be able to find your evidence in your passage. So you have to be able to answer these kinds of questions, whether you're doing ACT or SAT or EST. On the ACT, there's a special kind of question where it will have numbers, and you're going to have to find out which ones are mentioned in the passage. On the EST, there's something similar to that, whereas on the SAT, there really isn't any kind of question that's like that. On the reading section for the ACT, you will find graph questions. You will not find graph questions. No graph questions on the ACT. For the SAT, you will find graph questions, and for the EAST, you will find graph questions. Usually they're pictographs, but the ACT has another section, added section at the end of the exam called the science section, and that section will have scientific passages with the graph questions. On the ACT, you will find questions with capital words, and these are difficult questions, like words like not that are capitalized like this, and you have to look throughout your passage so that you can find your answer. You will find this also on the EST, where you will find words that are completely capitalized. On the SAT, you will not find these types of questions. All right, how about for the English or the writing section? There's a big idea question at the end of each passage. It's on the ACT. It's usually written like this. Question 15 asks about the preceding passage as a whole. Whereas on the SAT and the EST, it doesn't have a specific question like that for the writing section, but they will ask you to add or delete or keep or eliminate a sentence that could be a topic or concluding sentence for the whole passage. For the ACT, there will be questions that will ask you about the sequence of sentences, whereas you will not find these types of questions on the SAT and on the EST. Placement questions, however, are found in all of the different exams. Like we said, graph questions are not found on the ACT reading or writing sections, or English section, I should say, but you will find it in the science section, whereas on the EST and on the SAT, you will find it in both, in the reading and in the writing. This is a SAT question for the writing, and this is an EST question for the writing. So overall, the skills that are measured in both exams, in all of the exams. They're fairly like each other, fairly similar, but there's just a little bit of a difference between all of the exams. If you're ready for one, you'll be ready for the other. However, remember the timing on the ACT, it's much, much, much more difficult than the SAT and the EST. Good luck to everybody.